Bonjour and welcome on Paris Top Tips. Today it is very hot in Paris. In the sun we have 39.3 Celsius, which is around 103 Fahrenheit, and yet we are only the 14th of June. So will we have another heat wave this summer? In most apartments in Paris there is no air conditioning, although this is fortunately less the case in hotels for tourists. So when it's really hot, some Parisians go shopping in the department stores, but a large number of them take advantage of the many parks and squares of Paris to cool off. Here is my guide to the 7 most beautiful parks in Paris to visit in the event of a heat wave, and even if it's not hot. The first park on our list is located in the 19th arrondissement. Yes, it's clearly not the most touristy neighborhood in Paris, but the Parc de Buttes-Chaumont is magnificent. Opened in 1867, the park has 5.5 kilometers of roads and 2.2 kilometers of paths. What you see today is all man-made. Built on an old hill that was used as part as a refuse dump and part as a limestone quarry, it took 2 years to terrace the land. Then 200,000 cubic meters of topsoil was brought to the place. 1,000 workers remade the landscape, digging a lake and shaping the lawns and hillsides. Explosives were used to sculpt the buttes themselves and the former quarry into a picturesque mountain 50 meters high, with cliffs, an interior grotto, pinnacles and arches. And finally, hydraulic pumps were installed to lift the water from the canal of the Oak River up to the highest point on the promontory to create 2 waterfalls. The park was envisioned by Napoleon III as a garden showcase, a vision that continues to guide the park's direction. Many of the plants and trees found in the park were those originally planted when the park was created a century and a half ago. Even if I don't go very often in the 19th, the Parc de Belleville is one of my preferred parks in the city. You can reach it using Metro Line 7B. The Jardin des Plantes, French for Gardens of the Plants, is the main botanical garden in France. The garden covers an area of 24 hectares, 59 acres. As there's only one place where you can step or stay on the grass, it's not the best for a picnic. But there are places planted with magnificent trees where you can find benches to take advantage of the shade. In front of the Grande Galerie de l'Évolution, which I urge you to visit if you have time, is the lawn where you can walk. Honestly, this scorched lawn without much shade doesn't really make you want to lie on it. Strangely, the other lawns, those which are prohibited, are much greener. But follow me. In the garden of the School of Botany, there is a divinely pleasant place in summer. The Alpine Garden. There are more than 2,000 species of mountain plants here, and a lot of trees providing a refreshing shade in the Parisian summer furnace. One of the trees is a metasequoia, or dawn redwood, the shortest of the redwoods, and this specimen has been planted in 1948. As I've already said, the Jardin des Plantes also houses the Natural History Museum with the magnificent Grande Galerie de l'Évolution, 4 large greenhouses, including the Mexican, the Australian, the New Caledonian greenhouses, and a beautiful Jardin d'Hiver, and the Gallery of Paleontology and Comparative Anatomy. To get there, use metro lines 7 or 10. Located between the Louvre and the Place de la Concorde in the 1st arrondissement, the Garden of the Tuileries was created in 1564. Since the 19th century, after the destruction of the royal palace of the Tuileries in the years following the French Revolution, it has been a place where Parisians celebrate, meet, stroll and relax. It's far from being my favorite park. The lawns are forbidden, the paths, admittedly very large, are very powdery. And it's a real French-style garden, strictly geometric without the grace and freshness of an English-style garden, which you can find in other parks in Paris. However, there are countless benches, armchairs and reclining chairs to rest in the shade of the trees. There are a few pleasantly shaded cafes there, but with very touristy prices and a staff sometimes bordering on rudeness. Some sculptures too. In a slightly less frequented corner, there is a monument dedicated to Charles Perrault, the author of Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty. On this long esplanade stands before the end of year celebrations, the largest Christmas market in Paris. Throughout the garden, fountains with drinking water. Another cafe here. Just before arriving at the Louvre, no more trees, but flowered lawns. To get there, use metro line 1 and exit at Concorde or Tuileries. Parc Monceau, a smaller yet very pleasant park in the 8th arrondissement, is one of the representatives of these English-style gardens that I prefer. Informal layout, curved walkways and randomly placed statues distinguish it from the more traditional French-style garden. The neighborhood surrounding Parc Monceau is very bourgeois, so is the attendance. Many nannies coming to take small children for a walk, mothers watching their slightly older children go on carousel rides, yuppies coming to bask in the sun on the lawns. A large number of the architectural features of this park are Masonic references. The park and its plantations are very beautifully maintained. A historical anecdote: in 1797, André-Jacques Garnerin, balloonist, made the first parachute jump in history there by jumping from a hot air balloon. When it's hot like the day I filmed, the lawns are invaded by Parisians who come to hang out on the lawns to rest or have a picnic. The main entrance to the park, just above the Monceau metro station on Line 2, is marked by a rotunda built in 1787. Technically, this fountain is not in the Jardin du Luxembourg, but in the adjacent one called Jardin des Grands Explorateurs. But the Fontaine des Quatre Parties du Monde, for the 4 parts of the world, is a must-see if you are around. The lawns of the Jardin des Grands Explorateurs, located in the continuity of those of the Jardin du Luxembourg, are accessible, which is why I'm talking about them here. Here is the southern entrance to the Jardin du Luxembourg from the garden of the great explorers. There are 3 authorized lawns in the Luxembourg Gardens, so take advantage of them. For the rest, it's a bit like the Jardin des Tuileries. Lots of wide powdery paths, lots of benches, lots of chairs. With, in addition of course, the Luxembourg Palace, where the French Senate sits. Did you know that the Paris Meridian, a meridian line running through the Paris Observatory, was a long-standing rival to the Greenwich Meridian as the prime meridian of the world? The Luxembourg Gardens are centered on a large octagonal basin of water called Le Grand Bassin, on which children sail model boats. Each boat has the flag of a specific country. Also a nice architectural feature in the Luxembourg Gardens, the Medici Fountain, created in 1630 in honor of Marie de Medici, widow of Henry IV and Regent of France. The garden also offers a beautiful view of the Panthéon. The nearest metro stations are Luxembourg and Port-Royal on Area Line B. The penultimate park on this list is also my favorite. Located in the 14th arrondissement, inaugurated in 1875, Parc Monceau sits at the southern limit of Paris. The park, 15.5 hectares in area, has also been designed as an English landscape garden. It is by far the park that offers the most lawns to lie down on. Drinking water is easy to find here too. There is a nice cafe there. As for the Parc de Buttes-Chaumont, created at the same time, the park was created from a large stone quarry, but also many galleries of catacombs. Every feature of the park was designed to create an idealized natural landscape with space for both relaxation and recreation, which could be enjoyed by all classes of Parisians. And I must say, for me, the result is absolutely magnificent. Here also, as at Parc Monceau, the teams of gardeners keep the park in top condition. You can find yoga classes or relaxation. The Area B crosses the park in a trench, and yet, except when you are on a bridge just above, you do not hear the trains passing. There are many kids' playgrounds throughout the park. Even though the oldest trees are barely 150 years old, some are magnificent. There is also a pleasant rose garden. So if you are hesitating where to go and rest in the shade in the event of a heat wave, for me, Parc Montsouris is definitely the best choice. Both Area B and tramway T3A stop here at Station Cité Universitaire. 10 years ago, the last time I went there, the question did not even arise. The Parc de Belleville had to be part of this list. That's why I'm talking about it today. Built on a hill and inaugurated in 1988, the park offers 1,200 trees and shrubs, a 100-meter-long waterfall fountain, the longest in Paris, and 1,000 square meters of lawn accessible to the public. It also offers one of the most beautiful views you can have for free over Paris. But that's sadly all it has to offer. And it's not enough compared to the deeply degraded state of the park today. Graffiti everywhere, a fountain that no longer works, a state of vegetation very different from that found in the Parc des Buttes-Chaumont not far away, and above all, the park, especially in its undergrowth, is very poorly attended, and I clearly advise you not to go there at the end of the day. Yet the most beautiful moment with the panorama over the setting sun over Paris. I hope you liked this video and that it will be useful to you. If so, what about hitting the like button? Or even better, the subscribe one? It really counts for me.